Hi, it's me, David.
And Azu from the Hobby Hangout Podcast. So we're going to be releasing some videos for Family Day in Canada. This video in particular is going to be for couples games.
As we speak to the games on screen, we'll be highlighting 4 key aspects for each game. The playtime, the recommended age group, the number of players, as well as sort of the general play area that you'll need to actually play the game itself based on our experience. My favorite one, I think, is going to have to be Dice Throne. It's primarily 2 players, although you can play it with more. It's a card-based game where you pick your character and you have a lot of variability. There's tons of characters out there, tons of themes. Everyone has the same framework in terms of your cards and the dice that you need to roll. But the cards that they have available, the skill sets that they can do and how they interact and affect the gameplay through tokens. Each character plays very uniquely. It's definitely a fun game and one that you can definitely go back and forth with your partner.
This one can be played for more than 2, but personally, I prefer it to be just for 2 people.
Yeah.
Because then it starts getting weird on, you have to make some modifications on how you play, right?
I think there's an adjustment in terms of the health value, whether you're playing 3 players or whether you're playing 4 on teams. But yeah, to me, I enjoy this game most at 2 players and just interacting with that one person and trying to defeat them.
Definitely. Okay, so I'll go next.
Okay.
I will pick a Little Wordy. So this is definitely just for 2 people. You can play it as fast as you need to play. This one is great for people that like making up words. Each of you is going to get some tiles that contain vowels and consonants, and you have to make up a word. Then once you're done with them, you pass your tiles to the other person. The other person passes theirs to you. And now you have to start guessing what is their word. But there's going to be clues that you have to pay for. At the end of the game, even if you guess the word correctly, if the other person has more berries than you, they still have more chances of potentially beating you and winning the game. So that's a fun twist. Different clues that you can change around every time that you play. There's one in particular that is very funny. You have to rhyme the word. And so the ones that are potentially going to give you better clues, they're also more expensive and you give the points to the other person potentially.
I think the one aspect I like about that game is there's that, although it is primarily a word game, there's that added level of strategy of what kind of clues are you willing, because when you get asked for a clue, you're giving your opponent points. So you're kind of balancing in terms of how good of a clue do you want and risk giving them too many points where even if you guess the word, you may still lose because you gave your opponent way too many points through the clues that you selected. So I like that little added level of strategy to the game.
Okay, your turn.
So for me, it's a game called Skulk Hollow. I do enjoy this 2-player game. It's definitely a strategy game. I think typically it's 40 to almost an hour sometimes when I've played it. One person plays a little army of foxes trying to take on these monstrous creatures, and the other person plays as a monster creature. Your players are trying to scale the monster and attack it on different aspects, trying to get to the head and disable the large monster. And as the large monster, you can shake them off of you, you can grab them and defeat various characters. So it plays very differently from each side of the board. It's a 2-player game with a higher level of strategy than what you typically find in a 2-player game, which are usually more fast-paced. But yeah, I really enjoy this one.
Okay, and for our last pick, which is back to me, I'm going to pick Splendor Duel. What I like the most about the game is actually just holding the chips.
They do have a very nice weight to them.
I like how it comes in a little board and you have to put the chips around it. And you can only pick the ones that are in a straight line. Like you have to pick what is available.
Although it's not an overly complex game, it does play fairly quickly. It has that added element that you typically don't see in smaller games where you have different ways to win the game. It's not just one objective. You have that flexibility in terms of how you want to play your game.
There's definitely a lot more games that
Absolutely. That you
Yeah,
can play
that you
as a
can
couple. Yeah.
yeah. But these ones were our top picks.
From the ones we've played, of course.
I hope that there's a new game that you haven't heard about that maybe you're excited to try now.
Yeah. And we'll see you in our next videos.